a quorum. We can go ahead and get started. Let's start off with roll call. (7:01), November 10th. Town of Cottage City Town Meeting. Ward 1 Commissioner Young, are you present? Commissioner Young?
It looks like she's connected.
Hello,
Commissioner Young?
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We're just doing
Okay,
the
I'm
roll
on.
call. Okay, Ward 2
present.
Commissioner Armache.
Present.
Ward 3 Commissioner Wheatley is present. Ward 4 Commissioner Givens.
Present. Commissioner Givens, present.
At-large Commissioner Yuri.
At-large Commissioner Yuri is present.
Thank you. All commissioners are present and accounted for. We do have a quorum. All righty. First on our meeting tonight are the approval of our town minutes and the financials for September 2021. I do want to say that first, I want to apologize. I just looked at the minutes today, and based on what I saw, there's a lot of corrections. There's a lot of edits. Some of it is just not clear to even follow. Like some of it I just couldn't even follow. Did anyone else have a chance to even look at the minutes or to review them? And it seems very lengthy to me. I don't know if all of this information is needed, because some of it was just discussion. I don't know if, I don't know. Does anyone else feel that way? I guess I should ask that.
I read them. This is Commissioner Young. I read them, and they did go into a fair amount of detail. I appreciated that in the part where I had talked a fair amount about the Lexi Paul. I didn't find any problems. There were, minor grammatical things, but not worth changing. So I didn't have any problem with them.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else?
I apologize. I have not had a chance to look at it in detail.
Commissioner Givens, are you?
No, I haven't read them. I defer to you guys.
Well, there were some parts, especially the part where we were talking about the general orders. There was one part that kind of confused me in regards to the bus stop and the speed humps. That was a little confusing. The discussion wasn't clear. Looked like there was some words missing. The part about the sidewalk, it looked like that was a little confusing. Then under the motion, it was a motion to approve the contract, but then it was a motion made by Young and seconded by Armache. Then there was a motion made by Givens and seconded by Armache. So I'm confused as to why there was one motion, but there's two different motions being two different seconds.
Which contract was that?
The sidewalk contract, the DIR proposal and contract.
Let me see if I can find that.
That was confusing. There was also.
I think I remember that we had went into some discussion after the first motion was made. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't explain why it changed. You're right.
And then again, under the general order, same thing happened again. There was a motion to approve the general orders presented by Lexi Pool, The motion was made by Givens, second by Wheatley. Then there's another motion made by Givens and second by Armashek. I'm not quite sure why that's there. If the motion was amended, it should say it was amended. And maybe explain a little bit why it was amended or what part of the motion had been amended. I just don't understand. It's confusing.
You're right. I missed that. You're right.
Like I said, I just looked at it, but just reading through it, it's I find that there's several edits that need to be corrected.
Commissioner Wheatley,
Yes.
would it be helpful if I sat down with Ms. Gabriel and went back through the recording and touched base with her with my notes? And I didn't have a chance to proofread them. I apologize. And maybe get some clarity and we bring them back to you all at the next town meeting.
Yes, that'd be very helpful.
Okay.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you. Mhm.
It
Were
says,
there any questions on the financials?
Commissioner, we, question on the minutes. It says here under, old business ARPA funds, that someone attended MML. Who was,
You broke up
I'm
a
not
little bit.
hearing
So
anyone.
I didn't quite
I-
hear what you said.
I said under ARPA funds, it states that someone attended MML, but it doesn't state who. And I don't recall the conversation. Can you remind me who attended MML? It says September 14th, 2021.
I guess it was Miss Barbara that attended it. Or maybe it was the town treasurer at the time. I don't know.
Ms. Barbara, do you know?
It wasn't me, so it may have been the town treasurer.
Oh, okay. Okay. Was that done under the town? Did we sponsor that?
I think, it was an MML sponsored workshop on ARPA, and I believe she went. And so I think that was in her update that she was providing to you all. But again, if clarity is needed on these points, let me sit down with Ms. Gabriel, listen to the recording, and make sure that we get a good set of minutes for you all to approve.
Sure, thank you.
Do we have any questions or comments on the financials?
I haven't had time to go through them in detail, and I must admit, I overlooked them because I wasn't expecting much in terms of the financials. So if anyone else has had a chance to look at them, I would defer to them. Or we can do the same thing. Ms. Barber can look over them and bring them back next time. However y'all want to do it.
How do the commissioners feel? You want to bring them back or do you want to go ahead and approve them tonight?
I think the edits should be made and then we can approve them.
This is for the budget. This is for the
Oh, I'm
financial.
sorry.
And they're not on the screen, so if you have them in front of you, you can take a quick look if you like.
I sort of feel like I don't have information to be able to make much of a judgment on that. So I guess that would be, again, another one where I would trust Ms. Barber with it and then bring it back and let us know whether it looks okay to her. Have you had a chance to look at it, Consuela, and check it out?
Yes, ma'am, I prepared them.
Oh, well, okay. Well, if you did, then I'm okay with them.
I certainly welcome any questions that you all have, though. I know they are a bit different in presentation than what you all are used to seeing.
Ms. Barber, do you have anything in particular you'd like to point out, since this go around it may be a bit different?
Let's see. Nothing stands out as far as you all needing to be concerned about. We are within all the parameters for the budget. There was nothing that was over any line item. We're trending pretty well for ending pretty much the first quarter of the fiscal year. So nothing unusual stood out.
Did we create a new line item for the ARPA funds?
There is a new line item created for the ARPA funds. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful.
Where is that?
It's in the chart of accounts on the QuickBook accounts. I'm looking at it right now. It should be.
Oh, the first printed out page, total, let's see, Total
It says
4106.
4139 ARPA under grant revenue on the profit and loss form.
Right. Were you ever able to get a clarification, a list of specifics of what we can and cannot spend that on?
So it's still very broad strokes on what you can and can't spend it on. I think the chief had indicated that he had checked into some things regarding public safety, and that those things that he's going to bring forth to you all tonight were allowable under ARPA. But again, it's really looking under those broad categories and seeing if you can define a project, and then seeing if that project meets all the criteria under ARPA.
Thanks.
Miss Barber, this is for the month of July and August.
No, so it's from the beginning of the fiscal year up to the day that I printed it, which was Thursday of last week.
Okay, the documents that I'm looking at says as of August 31st
Oh, really?
in July, unless I'm looking at the wrong document.
The one I'm looking at says as of December 31st.
It was prepared on November the 4th. And let me see if I can bring it up on the screen. Let me share my screen.
When I click on November financials,
Right. You may be clicking on the wrong thing.
okay.
Let me just see if I can get back to sharing my screen. So this is what you should see as the first page.
Okay. So I was on the wrong link.
Right. And it'll say January through December of 2021, because it comes across as a calendar year, but the data that's pulled is for the fiscal year.
Okay. So this is for the month of October?
Yes, it's up until the end of October, because I pulled it on the 4th of November.
Madam Chair, who produced the document? Was it Ms. Hill Williams or Consuelo?
It was me.
Okay.
It does look a lot different. From what I'm looking at, the balance sheet says as of December 31, 2021.
Right, it's gonna go for the whole calendar year. Again, that's the limitation I have in pulling that financial data off of QuickBooks. So it may be wise for you all just to maybe table this and have an opportunity to sit down with me and go through it individually if you have some specific questions, and then we can bring it back next month.
Yes, let's do that because I'm not following it.
That's
Okay,
fine with me.
yeah. All right, so we'll table approving the minutes and financials for October. So next is public comments. Let's see. I do see that we have the Office of Delegate Diana Fennell. Would you like to speak at this time? Not sure who that is.
Oh, good evening. This is Gloria Albright. I'm her community liaison. And no, I'm just here to listen and take notes if you guys have any questions. And I can take them back to her and get back to you with them.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Albright. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, you're welcome.
Are there any public comments from any of our residents at this time? You have 3 minutes to speak. I don't see anyone coming off of mute right now. So I think we're gonna go ahead and move to old business and we can come back to public comments. So next is the facilities rental license application. Ms. Barber, you want to discuss that one?
Actually, I'm gonna hand that off to Mr. Pinckney. He was the one that was working on the application, as you all will recall. You all had asked him to make some changes because for clarity's purpose, and I will bring it up on the screen if you give me an opportunity to stop my share and reshare it.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay. There you go. Mr. Pinckney, are you on the line? You'd like to go ahead and point out what your changes were?
Yeah, so on the document, there was some question about the totaling of the pricing. It wasn't clear enough to let the person know what the total was that they were supposed to pay, so we added in the total. And then also the price of the gazebo. We talked about the price of the gazebo if they wanted to just rent the gazebo by itself. So we wound up adding that in there as well. Another thing was the discussion about the rental license versus the permit. So we changed out permitting and just put in rental license throughout the whole document. If you go down some more, there is right there the portion where the DJ and band portion that we was talking about. So we added some verbiage in there that pretty much outlines that a DJ and small bands are permitted indoors. No bands of any kind is permitted outside. DJs and loud amplified music is permitted outdoors, but must abide by the daytime noise ordinance. And we put the ordinance in there with the time of 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. On all outside grounds.
Can I ask a question about that?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think we were going to allow DJs and loud or amplified music outside. Because that's the kind of thing that causes problems. And that's pretty close to, you know, people's homes. So I think that could create a problem. I remember talking about, you know, non-amplified music, you know, people playing a guitar or something like that, you know, that was not amplified. But I don't, the idea of having DJs and loud and amplified music seems like a problem to me. Anyway, I don't know what other people think, but
So in my notes from what you guys discussed, and I believe I asked you to be clear after we talked about it. In my notes, it says DJ yes for outside bands, only inside. So that's why we put the DJ verbiage in there for the outside. Now we can change that if that's what the commission
I don't know
desires.
what other people, to see what other people think about it. It just strikes me that that's sort of asking for trouble.
I think that we discussed it, Commissioner Young, I think we discussed it as in just not breaking any kind of, you know, sound ordinances or it being too loud, just making sure that we put in our language that, you know, maintain respectful level of noise and volume while utilizing the property. You know, it's not specific, but I mean, we have businesses on Bladensburg Road, which, you know, they blast their music. And I mean, if there's an issue, we, you know, let the police department know that's what they're there for. So, I mean, we just ask people to respectfully moderate, you know, the tone of their music and their parties. I think that's appropriate. We don't want to completely, you know, annul any fun, you know, or any creativity that people want to have in utilizing the area. So.
I'm
I
still
think
worried about the amplifiers and the DJ.
Yeah, I agree with Ann because I think we did say that. We said they could have like a guitar or something without a amp, if I remember correctly.
I mean,
Like,
but then,
please let me finish, Commissioner Yuri. If I remember correctly, we did say that, and Commissioner Young, I agree. We said that they could have music, but we did say we didn't want like amps or big speakers and stuff like that. We did say we didn't want a DJ. We said that they could maybe play a guitar, maybe like acoustics like that. We said they could do, but we did say no bands from what I remember. So I think, Ann, you're right. I think we did say no band. And I think Demetrius might have said the same thing, if I remember correctly.
We've just had problems of this nature, you know, around town and from the neighboring towns that it just seems like could create more problems for us.
Yeah, we said that too.
I mean, from what we know of, I understand and I respect what you're both saying, but from what we know of, no one's rented out the town hall and is like, you know, had that real issue in Cottage City, you know, with super loud music coming from the town hall. I mean, not that it can't happen in the future, but I mean, let's say someone's using, you know, their computer or whatever the case is, they have a playlist and they want a speaker. It's not so loud, but you know, it's not like a huge speaker, but it's still a speaker and it's, you know, still enough to get some music on. I mean, can we completely just take away any creativity or fun that people are going to
That's
have?
not what we're saying. That's not what we're saying.
Well, then
no.
we should specify. Then we should specify that and not just say acoustic. Just say moderate noise or whatever the case is, or small speaker or something like that, and we can put that in the verbiage.
We did say that at the meeting.
We didn't
said
talk
that.
about the speaker, or we just said no speaker.
Yes, we
no
did.
amplification.
Yes, we did talk about it, because Demetrius brings his little speaker all the time. We did
Okay.
talk about it.
Well, if it's small speaker and it not, huge loud amplification, I'm fine with it. But I think that they should be permitted to have some type of speaker or something there, just following, with sound ordinance.
We said they could have a small speaker, not like a big amp, like you would see like with a DJ. Like with a DJ, when they bring their speakers, they have the big speakers. We're not
Oh.
talking about a little small boom box or something like that. We're not talking about those type of speakers.
Okay. Thank you.
Greg, you want to finish?
So we don't want any DJs outside at all. Just we could take that out and just leave in amplified. Any amplified music will have to obey by the ordinance. Am I hearing that correct?
So that's currently what you have in the agreement. No bands of any kind are permitted outside. That's what you currently have.
But you guys are speaking in reference to the DJ being outside. So we would take the DJ part out and just leave amplified music.
I think I would say any music outdoors must abide by daytime noise ordinance, blah, 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 and not even put in amplified, because that sort of suggests using an amplifier. And I think what we want is, if there's music, we want it to be quiet music that's not going to bother the people that are, fairly close by.
Well,
So
I think we should kind of specify. We can take out amplified music, but I think we can say, for example, you can have a small boom box, or you can have a computer speaker or your laptop or something like that, to give people an example of what is acceptable. Because if you leave it too open, then it's going to be, their interpretation of what we're saying. So I don't want to be so vague that people just do whatever they want to do out there, because then you're going to run into problems that way too.
Maybe put in some of the language from that SS6-1. That doesn't look like one of our ordinances. That looks like a state law or rule. I don't know what it is.
That's from out the town.
What?
That's from out the town ordinance, 6-1.
SS, what's SS?
Subsection, I believe.
What he's done is he's used SS to emulate the actual symbol for section, which is basically an S on top of an S, but askew. So it should say SEC period or code sec or code section 6-1, because that's the portion of the code you find the noise ordinance.
That would be better. It would be more clear, because I couldn't tell what that was referring to. And maybe just take some of the language from that and use that.
Sure, may I speak?
I'm sorry, is someone saying something? I can't hear you. You're breaking up.
This is Commissioner Omarche. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
DJs outside, DJs basically always work with a sound system. So I think that is risky. I think that somehow, that needs to be changed. Personal speakers, music played through personal speakers are permitted outdoors. And I thought that we had said, maybe I'm wrong, I thought that we had said that acoustic bands could play outside, or did we say, I thought we said acoustic bands could play outside as long as the music is not amplified. Am I incorrect?
We did say that, long as it wasn't amplified, and we said like a guitar player or someone playing a violin, or something like that. We said they could do outside. We did say that. We just said we didn't want the big bands like, you know, like for example, like a rock band or something like that.
Okay, so I'll take the DJ off the outside, and I will put personal use speakers and or acoustic instruments. And I'll change the SS to code section 6-1.
I think you could still keep the specification, no amplified music is permitted outdoors.
Technically speaking, even a small speaker that I have, it is an amplified speaker. So I don't think the verbiage matches what your intent here is. So yeah, you might want to reconsider how you word that. Yield back.
Mr. Pinckney, can you change that language for us?
Yeah, I'll change it. Amplified will stay in there because that's just telling you that all amplified music, which the personal speakers, as he said, is an amplified speaker, that they still must abide by the subsection or the code section, which is from 8 to 9. But again, I'll change.
Excuse me.
Say it again.
There is a part of the code section. Let's see. It is 6-1 subsection I5 that says amplified musical instruments. It shall be unlawful for any person to use any drum or amplified musical instrument upon the streets, other public rights of way, or parks without a permit issued by the town. So that says that if they're gonna, and I think the gazebo would reasonably be equivalent to public rights of way or parks or on the streets, which would suggest that they would have to get a permit from us to use an amplified musical instrument. So I mean, this is a fairly long section. So I'm not sure I feel good about putting the word amplified in there, suggesting that it's permissible when we've got a section that says if you want to use an amplified musical instrument, you need to get a permit from the town.
Can we table this and move on and allow Greg and Ms. Barber to kind of have a discussion as to what might be best, and revisit it at the next work session? Because we're not going to get anywhere here today with this.
That's fine.
That's fine with me. I'm okay with tabling it.
Fine with me.
Ms. Barber, is there a significance of having this done today?
I mean, we do have a group that wanted to rent the hall, but that's a different question. That's whether or not you all wanted to do outside organization of rentals. And that could be a different discussion, I suppose. It's not imperative. I know they wanted to rent it maybe in December, but they are not on the line, and they needed a price before they could say whether they would be wanting to rent it or not. So I don't know if you all want to have that discussion regarding the non-resident usage and then finalize the rental agreement at the December work session and meeting. That's you all's pleasure.
This is a non-resident that wants it now.
Yes, ma'am.
May I speak?
Go ahead.
I put a proposed edit in the chat box that I think should take care of everything we need. I don't see any reason for us to hold this up, especially if we have somebody that's ready. And everybody has access to their screen, or I could read it.
Could you read it for the audience?
I changed it to DJs and small bands are permitted indoors. Acoustic bands are permitted outside, no amplification. Music may be played through personal speakers outdoors, but must abide by the daytime noise ordinance subsection. I missed, I think it's subsection 6-1. That's correct. 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. on all outside grounds or any area where the peace may be disturbed.
I might take out the parentheses 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. just in case someone might think that that meant, oh, outside those hours, it's okay.
I don't understand.
Well, I don't think it's necessary to have the hours in there, but
I think it's.
I was just, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. If you want it in there, it's not that important.
So is everyone in agreement with the suggestion that Commissioner Armache made?
Commissioner Yuri, I'm okay with it.
Commissioner Givens, you okay with the change that Commissioner Armache suggested?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. Thank you.
Okay, and Commissioner Young, you're fine. I'm
Yeah,
also
I
okay with
already
it.
said, yeah, I'm fine with it. Yeah,
Yeah, I was just repeating that you were okay with it.
yeah.
And I'm okay with it. So Greg, is that enough for you to move forward?
Yes. There's one more thing. We're gonna go back and listen to the minutes unless Mr. Best recalls one of his suggestions that he didn't see. We couldn't remember what that was, so we have to go back and look at the minutes to see what that was. But that's the only thing that needs to be put in here. And then all of the other changes that the commission had requested have been done.
Oops, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Okay. So we're okay with the rental fees for employees, residents, non-residents. We're okay with these fees, correct?
I was just going to raise that. I don't know. It seems to me there's not much difference between residents and non-residents, and it seems to me we ought to treat residents better than non-residents. I mean, there is a difference, and it's not something I feel super strongly about. So if nobody else cares that much about it, I'll go along.
Are these the same numbers that we agreed to last time?
Yes.
That's fine then.
Each one of them are pretty much, the rental for each one of them are the difference of $100.
And if the gazebo rental that's the same for everybody?
Yes, that's what the commission said at the last meeting, just making it 25 and 50. And then there was I think a suggestion to make it free from the residents, but Commissioner Givens had explained the purpose of the accountability purpose of putting a fee to it and having them get an application in. So we made it 25 and 50.
I have a question. For an employee, the fee is cheaper, and for a resident, non-resident, to me is extremely much higher. So what's the reason for that?
You said the reason for the employee being cheaper?
Yeah. I could see giving the employee a discount, but it seems like the employee gets a much bigger discount than the resident.
So the employee gets $100 discount off of what the resident price is. Even before, that price was $100, and the employee was $200. I mean, the resident was $200. Only thing that we've done is really added $25 additional because of the gazebo. That's it. But this is still the same pricing, minus $25 for each, the resident and the employee, based off of the original application that we had. And I believe that they did it like that because that was kind of like an added benefit to the employees to be able to utilize the town hall at a cheaper rate.
Okay, so these rental fees include the gazebo.
Correct.
Okay. So that's what the additional $25 is for?
Right. The original price for the employees was the rental was $100, and for the resident, it was $200. And we didn't have nothing for non-residents. So I made the non-resident $100 more than the resident. Which that can change if you want to make it $200. It's pretty much up to the commission. I just did that as kind of like a template just to give you something to work with, but that number can change if we feel that the non-resident should pay a little bit more.
I tend to think non-residents should pay a little more, but and to sort of preserve it for residents and employees.
So should we make the rental fee $400 flat?
For a non-resident?
Right.
And the refund would be $200?
The refund, so what they would have to do is they would have to pay the $200 deductible. I mean, deductible, the $200 deposit. And then they would have to pay separately the $400 for the rental fee. And then after their event, they'll get the $200 deposit back, but we'll still retain the $400 rental fee.
For non-residents.
Right.
And that $400 would include access to the gazebo.
Correct.
I would support that. I think we really need to do everything we can to keep the town hall and the gazebo available for town events and for residents.
And if we want, you can make the gazebo, it has gazebo rental only. If you don't want that to be rented to non-residents separately, then we can just put that price for residential only.
How do other commissioners feel about the these new prices for the non-resident?
These feel a little high to me.
Okay, Commissioner Givens or Yuri?
Commissioner Givens, I'm okay with the higher price. I actually would like to see it just for the residents. So if you want to open it up to the non-residents, I think I'm okay with the higher prices. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Yuri.
Yes, I'm fine with that as well. I think we should continue that.
You're fine with what? The higher price?
Higher prices and having it available for non-residents.
Okay. So that's 3 in favor of the $400 rental fee for non-residents.
I do think
Commissioner,
$400 is a bit steep, but I do think that it should still be higher than what others would pay for it.
okay, Commissioner Yuri, my specific question was, are you in agreement with the $400 rental fee for non-residents? That's a specific question. So I need you to either say, yes, you're in agreement, or you think it's too high.
I think it's too high. I do think we should go higher, but not that high.
Okay, so Commissioners Givens and Young are in agreement for 400. Commissioners Armache and Commissioner Armache and Yuri are not in agreement for the 400 rental fee for non-residents.
Just clarification, are you saying changing from what I'm seeing on the screen where it says rental fee 325, that would actually be 400, so the total they would give to rental space would be 600 and then they get 200 back?
Correct. That's the question on the table right now. Because we're trying to finalize the fees because we have someone that is a non-resident that wishes to rent in the upcoming month. And so we're trying to give them a total cost so they'll know if they want to do it or not.
I'll go along with whatever the majority. I'm on the fence. I would be okay with leaving it at what Greg has here, but if you guys want to raise it a little bit per Mr. Given's point, then it's okay.
Okay, well, we have 2 in agreement with 400 rental fee, 200 deposit, making the total 600 with the 200 deposit being returned at the end of the event. 400 is a little high, in my opinion. I think maybe 350 or I think 350 for the rental fee. I do think 400 is a little high.
Commissioner Givens, I'll concede and go with that if that's what the wishes are. Yield back.
Thank you. Commissioner Young, would you be willing to accept?
Yeah, I'll go along.
350?
I can go along with that. I think maybe we, in a 6 months or a year or so, we can revisit and see how things have turned out. My main concern is that I don't want a whole lot of non-residents coming up and sort of monopolizing the building. That may be completely a warrantless fear. So, but yeah, I can go along with that for now.
Okay, so that's Commissioner Young, Givens, Wheatley, and Armache. Did you say you were okay with 350? Okay, well, it sounds like the majority are okay with the rental fee for non-residents at $350.
I'm fine with the 350 as well.
Greg, did you get that number?
Yep. So 350 for the rental fee, making it a total of 550 with $200
Yes.
reimbursed.
Yes.
Got it.
Could I just suggest one more thing without carrying this on too long? What about lowering the rental fee for residents to 200 from 225?
Uh, How about we keep it at 225? But make the refund 200. So then it would be 425.
Oh, that's raising it.
That's raising. But if you give them 200 back,
Well, but right now you get, it's refundable deposit of 150. So the total would be 375.
but the 25 was for the gazebo. So I understand why the 25 is there. So maybe instead of maybe make the rental fee for the resident $150 versus $225.
Commissioner Wheatley,
Mm-hmm.
can I suggest that since the rental fee before was $100 for the resident and $200 for the, $100 for the employee and $200 for the resident, before we had the gazebo, we could go back to that. And then, because we added in, if they want to get the gazebo by itself, at $25 and $50, which brings it to $75, they can rent it separately if they wanted to, or they can just rent the whole building and just keep it at.
You said that before the gazebo, it was 100. It was 200 or 100.
It was 100 for employees, 200 for residents.
Well, I think the resident should be lower than 200. I don't care if you lower it to 150 or 175. I just think 200 for a resident is high, and you're giving an employee you're renting to an employee for only 125. So I would be okay with the rental fee for a resident to be 150, 150, or 175. But 225 for a resident, I think that's high.
I agree.
And you're leaving the employee at 125?
I want to raise the employee. No, I'm not going to do that, but it's
Well, you did
okay.
raise the employee.
No, I only raised the non-resident.
Well, so from the original price, you just cut, even with the addition of the gazebo, you just cut the resident rental fee down $50, but the employee rental fee still went up $25.
You said it was originally 100, right?
It was originally 100, and it went up 25 for the gazebo. The resident was originally 200, but we just cut that down to 150.
Yeah, because I feel like the residents should get a better deal. I really do feel that way.
Okay,
I mean, people can disagree with me.
making sure that I got it.
I mean, because again, our residents, they pay taxes. So they should get some benefit from using our building and using the gazebo. I mean, how do other commissioners feel? Do you feel like we should keep it at 225 for our residents?
I agree with you, Wanda. This is Ann.
Okay, I'd like to hear from other folks. Thanks, Ann. Anybody else think it should remain at 225?
I agree with you, and I'm almost wondering about, I mean, hearing what you're saying about the difference between Cottage City employees and residents and one of those things.
I'm sorry, artist. You were so muddled. I couldn't understand what you said.
Sorry, I'm on my computer tonight, and apparently the microphone is not good. Can you hear me better?
I can hear you better now. If you could just repeat that.
Yes. I said, I'm hearing what you're saying about the difference between employee and resident, and almost wondering whether they should just be the same, like both 150.
The same amount for an employee and a resident.
Sure.
I would be okay with that.
Commissioner Yuri, Ms. Barbara, have you gotten complaints about the price from residents?
No.
I don't know how often the town hall is being utilized for private events. How frequent is it, would you say?
You know, for the past 18 months, it hasn't been used at all, obviously, with COVID. Before then, I'd have to pull some data. I think it was used maybe, what, Greg, 5-6 times a year?
Yep.
Were they mainly residents or people coming from outside?
Oh, it had to be residents, because you all have never rented it to non-residents unless it was a non-resident that got sponsored by a resident.
Okay.
Why did we add residents? Just to get the money?
Non-residents?
Yeah.
Because you have a fair number of non-residents that call us asking to use the hall.
Oh, okay.
I
I
thought
just think, you know, our residents pay taxes, as the chair said, and, you know, I mean, we work for them. It's their town, so I think they ought to get a, you know, I mean, we need to give them a break, really.
I thought there was a time where we were allowing non-residents to rent the town hall. Is that?
Not since I've been here.
Okay, well, I'm fine with it either way. I'll go with the majority. If you all want to lower it, then I'm okay with that. But I don't mind it being the same. To me, 225 is not exorbitant for renting the entire town hall for personal use.
Commissioner Givens, do you have any feelings towards the cost?
No, I'm fine if you guys want to lower it. That's fine with me.
Okay, so how about we lower it to 150 for employees and residents? We'll make it even. They'll be the same.
Fine with me.
Okay, all right, Greg, you got that?
So it's 150 for both, and what is the deposit gonna be?
The refundable deposit?
Yes.
Well, if it's 150 to rent, you can't make the refund 150 because then they'll be getting it for zip for, you know, absolutely nothing. So you're
No,
gonna have to lower that,
that's
right?
That's not true. So
No?
if the if the deposit is $150 and the rental is $150, they would have to pay a total of $300 and they'll get $150 back. So they would have only paid $150 for the rental.
Okay. So you want to keep the refund deposit at $150? Because that's what you have there now.
Right, but you have, it's $150 for resident and it's $100 for employees. And
You'll have
right,
to raise it. You'll have to raise it for the employee then.
so $150 and $150.
Yeah, because
Gotcha.
we're making the employee and the resident pay the same amount. We're not showing any difference towards the employees versus the resident.
So I got $150 for both resident and employee deposit and rental fee, which is a total of $300. And then I have a deposit of $200 and a rental fee of $350 for non-residents, which is a total of $550. And then the gazebo by itself is $50 and $25.
Yeah, and can you say the non-resident one more time? You broke up. I didn't hear what you said.
The non-resident was a refundable deposit of $200 plus the rental fee of $350, which is $550 in total.
Okay. I think we're in agreement with that one. So that with the other suggestions, we should be able to get that agreement together.
Yes.
All right, let's move on. The telephone contract. Who's taking that one? Is that you, Miss Barbara?
Yes, ma'am. Let me just pull it up. So as I mentioned in the work session, I believe, this is the contract for the town's telephone system. It is the actual physical phone system. It's not like our service through Verizon. It's like if there are ever any problems with the actual physical phones or with this email, or not email, I'm sorry, voicemail or anything like that. So I think you all were good with the contract, and we'll pay it quarterly versus yearly. Or we can pay it all at once. I quite frankly, I didn't put it in my notes what your preference was. We currently pay it quarterly, and I just need to get an approval to have Commissioner Wheatley sign it. Mr. Best did go over it, and they are in good standing with the state, and he didn't have any particular issues with the contract, as it was a pretty simple, straightforward contract.
Any questions for Miss Barbara? Okay, hearing no questions, Miss Barbara, I am assuming it's okay. I'll try to sign it this week if I can.
Yes, ma'am. I'll bring up the agenda. Give me a minute. Okay.
I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I said I'll bring up the agenda.
Oh, okay. All right, so that was the telephone contract. So next is the MOU with Brentwood. Is that the chief or is that you?
That's the chief.
Okay, is the chief on the line?
Yes, ma'am. So this is pretty much a standard MOU with Brentwood. We just want to try to make sure that we have a working relationship with the town of Brentwood. Here it is right here. It's pretty much the same setup we have with other municipalities in reference to our service to each other and our backup procedures. Right now, our towns are backing each other up right now. Police officers are backing each other up. We just want to make sure it's official. And here's the document.
You said Mr. Best looked at it, right? Or no?
I'm not sure. I sent it over to the town administrator. I'm not sure if she sent it over to Mr. Best or not. But Brentwood's attorney did review it and drew it up. If you want to go ahead and table this and send it over to Mr. Best, we can do that.
Which attorney looked at it? Brentwood's attorney?
Yes, ma'am. Brentwood's attorney drew it up.
Commissioner Givens, speak.
Yes, Commissioner.
Okay, so I'm always concerned. We've gotten a lot of trouble behind on these MOUs. I mean, I'm an advocate for the Port Towns MOU, which is what we've always we've had for the longest period. You know, I remember we had a situation where we had a situation that involved a couple of our officers went over to Brentwood and we wound up getting sued, you know, assisting and stuff like that, you know, and I get it, you know, we're all small, but you know, I'm always concerned, you know, with officers. I don't know those officers in Brentwood, so I'm a little bit leery of them coming over here, you know, at least with the relationships that we have. And I'm not talking about who the chief knows or who his officers know. I mean, we live in this community and, you know, I feel as a council member, the relationships that we have with Bladensburg, Edmiston, and Colmar Manor are a lot more close knit in regards to the officers and how they operate their police departments and so on and so forth. We start, where do we stop? You know, Mount Rainier, do we go to College Park? I mean, you know, where does it end? I mean, I get it. You know, we're small, but I'm just not an advocate for continuously opening up more real estate in order for us to be officers to be traversing through different towns and, you know, and not knowing who's within our town. So I yield back.
Thank you. It's my understanding, Chief, that we already had an MOU with them. We just didn't have a signed one. Is that correct?
That was my understanding that since I've been here and since the other chiefs I spoke to that used to work here, they've been backing each other up for years. The problem is that the chief that's over Brentwood, he did some searching around his office and couldn't find the MOU. And so he thought it was best to have one on file due to the fact that we have this new mandate we have to abide by through the state in reference to call outs for investigations of police misconduct, as well as use of force situations. So he was just trying to cover himself. I know for a fact that since I've been here, our officers have been back in Brentwood been backing us up. We do have calls right on the bridge, leading back and forth from Brentwood to us constantly where we back each other up on traffic. So I think it's a good idea to have an MOU with them due to the fact that we do get calls for service over there, reference to loud music several times during the summertime. And we go over there and back them up and they back us up. So I think we should go with it. I understand what Commissioner Gibbons' concerns are. I know for a fact that we are really teaching our officers to understand the importance to report any abusive behavior by other officers. They have to now report that. That's a state mandate, a state law. So I feel confident that we can move forward to actually do our job in the correct way, in a professional way, if we do have this MOU with Brentwood and vice versa. I definitely will have a conversation with the chief to let him know the concern of Commissioner Givens in reference to how we want our citizens over here treated if Brentwood come over here and vice versa. So I had no problem having that discussion.
And Commissioner Gibbons, and so with that said, the statements that you've made in regards to what you guys have been doing and what's been legal is my point exactly. And yeah, I've seen officers from Brentwood over here, and it's always been a concern because I know that we didn't have an MOU. So that's always a concern, whether whoever the chief is, if they're violating laws and MOUs which are not in place, then you put the town at risk. And so all the chiefs that have been doing that, have been participating in that action, that activity has put the town at risk. And that's where my point of contention is with people overstepping their bounds, because whether you meant to do that in the best interest of the public overall, you're still in violation of what it is that the commission agreed to. I'm not speaking of those instances where the dispatcher dispatches because if an emergency situation, they have that authority under, it's my understanding, they have that authority to do so. But just general, just general practice going over there and doing stuff, it was not within our preview of our MOU. So I yield back.
I remember this came up one time before with Chief Lowry, and he brought up a MOU. And if I'm not mistaken, that MOU did include Brentwood.
That's negative.
There was a MOU that had Brentwood in it. I don't know if it was just for emergency cases, because it wasn't just the port towns, it was other municipalities. And it was when Chief Lowry was our chief. And Mr. Best, you may remember that MOU.
No, there was no Brentwood. They were port towns. Might have been another town, but I don't believe it was Brentwood. By the way, let me state, the statute that authorizes mutual aid agreements first of all, I've not reviewed this. I wasn't asked to review it, but the statute requires this to be approved by ordinance. You can't just approve this by simple Robert's Rules motion. In order to comply with the enabling requirements of the statute, you must pass this by ordinance. Doesn't have to be very long, but it needs to be done by ordinance. And any cooperation that you've been doing, as the commissioner said, Commissioner Gibbons, has been illegal and put you in liabilities path for doing such type of cooperation outside the confines of a duly approved mutual aid agreement. Madam Chair.
Could I speak?
Go ahead, Commissioner Young.
I think we need to do several things. One, we need to have Mr. Best look this over and do an ordinance if we're going to do this. More specifically, just looking at section 2A, it defines a serious traffic offense. And I'm sure Mr. Best will look at this when he's looking at it, but that needs to be consistent with any laws already on the books. And then section B, which is on the next page, I'm not really following that because it sort of looks like a sentence starts and then all of a sudden it starts quoting something, but there's no end quote. So I think this needs more thought, and Mr. Best needs to look at it, and we need to talk about it after he has done that and made any suggestions. Finally, I think that we definitely ought to limit it to situations where there is an emergency or where you know, an officer here or in Brentwood has seen someone go from one town to the next, or seen someone over the bridge or something like that. Or where there's been a specific request because of an emergency that's happened or is happening. That's all.
Any other discussion?
Chief Ayers, may I ask a question? I'm not sure how much you can discuss, but from your relationship with Brentwood, is it more so us backing them up or they backing us up?
It's pretty much both. We do traffic on 38th Avenue. And when we do traffic on 38th Avenue, I know for a fact that Brentwood has backed our office up when they do traffic, and vice versa on 38th Avenue. But like I said, it's the point where that was my fault for assuming that we had MOU. Commissioner Gibbons correct. I put y'all on liability by not checking on that. I was on the understanding when I got here, the officers was telling me that that was pretty much the procedures that, you know, Evanston, the Port Towns, as well as Brentwood backed each other up. Like I said, when the chief told me about that he couldn't find an MOU for him over there, I looked for MOU in my files and I couldn't find one either. So like Commissioner Gibbons said, you know, we can't do anything without having the authority to do it. So like I said, you know, I just want to see if we can pass it, because we do have the opportunity to have a good relationship with Brentwood by backing each other up on 38th Avenue. It is a thoroughfare that is a lot of speeders going through there. We do have incidents that happen on the bridge a lot. I would like to have an MOU with them just because of the 38th Avenue, and also in reference to the noise complaints we get over there at the industrial park they have going along the railroad tracks. But like I said, it's up to the commissioners to give us the authority to do it. I had no problem tabling this to make sure that Mr. Best reads it and go from there.
Chief Ayers, can I ask a quick question? I'm under the impression that you also kind of answer some of their emergency calls, or not answer them, but you back them up on some of those situations. I'm not sure how much that's stipulated in the MOU, but just to caution that also. I know we've had that issue, and Commissioner Gibbons could speak to this a little bit more with Comar Manor and backing up some of their emergency situations also. But just to take a closer look at that when we do that, I know that we've had a few calls already this year where we've done that. So just to pay attention and kind of stipulate what we're, just to, you know, have, to protect ourselves from any
Right. Well,
liability.
the bottom line with this, ma'am, is protect my officers. You gotta realize that sometimes we only have one officer working, and county is our secondary backup if we don't have an MOU with another agency. County sometimes gets so backed up on channel 1 that it might be a while before they get to our officers for routine domestic violence call. That means that, you know, you have to have a 2-person call. That means that the officer has to stand down and wait for an officer to be available to go to that 2-person call. I don't want to risk the safety of my officers or the safety of the residents waiting for backup. Having an MOU with Brentwood being so close, I think it's going to be practical and something that's definitely needed. Like I said, we do have times where Como Manor's officers on a report call or has a lockup, and we the only ones on this side of the river, and Brentwood can come back us up if we have a 2-person call. There's the point where you have 3 municipalities that sometimes have 1 or no officers working. So you want to have that MOU where you have 2-person calls being answered in a quick timetable, because if it's a 2-person call, they're not going to send that officer by himself. So that means that the domestic or that fight or that crime in progress is going to be set on hold until the officers are going to give a backup.
And Chief Ayers, I agree with the MOU. I'm not at all saying that I don't agree or don't think it's necessary. I'm just making sure that we have a full range of protection when it comes to answering some of these emergency calls or needing to back up, you know, Brentwood in emergency situations.
Well, in reference to the way it works, the officer that the municipality the officer works for, the call comes out in Carter City. Our officer is supposed to take the lead. The other officer is supposed to be there as backup only. And that's the way the MOU is set up. It's the point where we don't expect Brentwood to come over here if none of our officers are available. If there's none of our officers available, what happens is county police will come in, not Brentwood. Only time Brentwood will come over to the line is if our officers is going to a call by themselves or they need backup. Our officer will take the lead, or if our officer's not there to take the lead, county police will be the lead.
And what about for Brentwood when they have their emergency call?
Same way, if Brentwood is not available, we won't go over to Brentwood to handle a call for service. We can't do that. We're only there to assist, not to take a call, not to handle a call over there in Brentwood. So if Brentwood, so if Brentwood is not available, then county police will come and take that call, not Carter City.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, let me explain. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that people understand what my angst is about all this. I noticed, I'll tell you, I see a lot of stuff. I don't always bring it up because it's petty, right? You know, I don't want to be petty, but I've seen Brentwood patrolling in Cottage City on my street with no other police, like not going anywhere because it goes down and turns around. I mean, I know they're bored over there or whatever. I always see them. Everybody sees them. I'm sure Wanda sees them up at the convenience store in Comar Manor. They need to be in their town. I think it's unfair to the people in their town. So my point is, you know, it's not my problem. That's the mayor over there and their problem if their officers are not in their town as they should be. But my concern is the behavior kind of starts to, will it start to rub off on our officers that feel like they can go hang out over in Brentwood? Because Brentwood, anybody will tell you that drives by the convenience store, and I know they got problems over in Comar Manor convenience store, don't get me wrong, but they're a long way from Brentwood, and I don't want our officers taking that lead to be kind of hanging out over there or hanging out and Bladensburg. And I know I haven't seen them hanging out and my officers hanging out in other places, but I have seen Brentwood officers hanging out in Comar Manor. So I just wanted to make sure that people understand what can happen. I know what's happened in the past. You know, there was a time and period in Cottage City, you couldn't even find a police officer. And that whole thing where we were kind of doing some stuff with North Brentwood and you know, they were using that as an excuse, it was a mess. So I just don't want to kind of fall back into that. I know we have a new chief. I know you weren't here, but you know, like I said, when we make policy, I don't make it on who's sitting at the chair today. I look at policy as to whoever's in the chair, what's in the overall best interest, and I look at the past and what's gone on in the past as well. I can't hold on to that, so maybe times need to change, but I do look at that as a consideration. I yield back.
Just to add quickly to what Demetrius is saying, I do think this ought to be limited to emergency situations. And then, as I said before, I think we ought to let Kevin look it over and make any changes he thinks are necessary to assure that. And also to draft an ordinance, I guess, if we're going to do it. But I do agree, being near the bridge, it is important for both forces to help each other when there are people who might be going one direction or another across the bridge, same way people try to get out of DC crossing Eastern Avenue. So that in particular, as the chief said, is a critical spot as far as this particular thing goes. Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Let me just give you all a quick primer on mutual aid agreements and how they work. It won't take but just a second or two. The general rule in Maryland is a municipal police officer is not permitted to enforce the law outside the corporate jurisdiction of their municipality. That's the general rule. Can't go outside your municipality and enforce the law, but there are a few exceptions by statute, meaning it's authority right now that gives your police department to do various things with or without a mutual aid agreement. And one of them is to conduct a hot pursuit. That means if a chase emanates within the municipal corporation, your officers can go outside the municipality to finish the arrest or the pursuit. Another one is if a police officer outside his municipal jurisdiction observes a felony, he can take action. Another one is if called for assistance or help from another police officer, whether it be a county, state, or local police officer. If called, a municipality can have its officer go and assist that person, particularly in an emergency. Now, if there's something more, like patrolling outside the corporate limits, patrolling, observing, and initiating a stop, initiating law enforcement activity, certainly that would require an MAA. And I stress it's called a mutual aid agreement, not an MOU. It's not an MOU, it's a mutual aid agreement by law. And one thing I want to stress is municipalities can never allow their police departments to enforce the motor vehicle law outside their corporate limits. That should never happen. If you pass a municipal police officer operating outside their home jurisdiction and you're speeding, they cannot stop you. They simply cannot stop you without a mutual aid agreement being in place. So that's a quick primer 101 on mutual aid agreements in Maryland, aside from the fact that they have to be approved by legislation passed in the normal course of passing legislation. Are there any questions?
I have a question, Kevin.
Yeah.
It sounds in a way like you're saying that what we're talking about, we may not even need a mutual aid agreement because of the exceptions that you described. And if that's the case, maybe instead of redoing this MOU into an MAA, you need to just make us a list of what officers are permitted to do outside their jurisdiction.
And it's not necessary. It's already placed in your general orders. What I've just said can be found in your general orders.
It might be hard for a lot of us to find, or a lot of them to find, given the number of pages. That's why I thought it might be helpful for you to just spell it out in a short document that would be clear to everybody. But
Commissioner
anyway,
Young, our officers understand their boundaries, they understand their powers of authority. They understand that, ma'am. The question,
well, then why the need for the MOU?
The MOU is because if this here officers running traffic and stuff, they can come and back an officer out. They call here officer call out on traffic. They would come and back them up without the officers asking for assistance. For instance, if we're on 38th Avenue and an officer pulls traffic, he gets on the radio and said, College City 2, I have a traffic stop on 38th Avenue. What happens is when he calls out that he had a traffic stop, it allows Brentwood to come over and back him up, not to handle the call, just to back the officer up for visibility purposes so the officer can do his traffic stop safely. If an officer is responding to a call for service for a domestic call, instead of him waiting for county, Brentwood can go in the air and say, county, I'm available. I can go and back College City up for the domestic. That's what we need it for, not for
just the backup calls on things that would not otherwise be permissible.
Right.
Kevin, what's your opinion on those?
Let me finish. It's not for emergency situations. They can do that. If an officer calls for backup, like he is on a traffic stop, the guy starts fighting him. He can call and say, I need assistance, and Brentwood would come over without having any problems. I'm talking about things before things happen. I'm talking about, like, you know, instead of him waiting for county police that's probably gonna have nobody available to back him up for a domestic at the towers, Brentwood can go over the air and say, you know, I'm available radio, I'll back Carter City up. That's the kind of things that are happening constantly in our both our cities in this Port Town area, is that we sometimes have one officer working and his backup is the other municipalities. If not, they have to wait for county police to have someone available to come over and back our officers up. That we're trying to avoid that. We're trying to avoid for having a person in a house trying to defend themselves, and they don't have any, you know, they're having a domestic dispute and have no officer present to come by there until a backup is given from an officer to go around the call. Because right now, because how domestics are going right now, a dispatcher would not dispatch my officers to a two-person call unless he has backup. So that means if county police has nobody available, that call will be set on hold until a county officer is available to back my officer up. So if you want the calls for service to be slowed down for those kind of serious calls, I'll call them serious calls, then that's what's going to happen. Sometimes Come On Man don't have anybody working. Sometimes Bladensburg is on a different channel. They're not on the same channel we are. Evanston sometimes is busy. So it depends on who's out there going to back my officer up. That's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to make sure that we have everything covered just in case we need backup from our officers. You know, that like Mr. Best said, it's clear cut on what they can do and what they can't do. Our officers know what they can do and can't do. It's the point where those calls for service that these two persons, that's what we're looking for.
I agree. I think supporting the Cottage City Police Department for mutual cooperation is paramount. Now, going back to what Commissioner Givens said, I think there is a limit, but I think if a municipality directly abuts your municipal borders, you should liberally cooperate with that municipality because of the spillover effect of police activity and crime directly over a municipal border. It behooves a municipality to have a mutual aid agreement with a directly abutting and adjoining municipality. Now, you know, if this was Bowie City or New Carrollton or Forest Heights or, you know, Seat Pleasant, yes, maybe it's too much to have a mutual aid agreement with a municipality that far away. But one close by and touching your borders probably should have a mutual aid agreement, aside from just the Port Towns mutual aid agreement. Madam Chair.
Chief, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You mentioned that Bladensburg is on a different channel. So when our officers need backup, would Bladensburg even be aware if they're on a different channel?
What they normally do is they call each other on their cell phone. But Bladensburg has their own dispatcher. They dispatch themselves. Hyattsville dispatch themselves also. Mount Rainier dispatched through Hyattsville. So Mount Rainier is not on our channel. Bladensburg is not on our channel, and Hyattsville City is not on our channel. So that means that if something goes out, we're not aware of it unless they communicate through their cell phones, or the dispatcher will go ahead and say something over the air. But pretty much we're on different lines. So
okay, so how often?
So that's why very rarely you see Bladensburg come over back and stuff unless it's something real serious, like, you know, shooting or robbery or something like that. That's when Bladensburg would be notified, or one of our officers or somebody would call them on the cell phone and they would come over. You very rarely see a Bladensburg officer on our side because of that, because they're on a different channel.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that I hardly ever see Bladensburg. Mainly I see them if it's like we're having a big event and we need traffic control, like we're having something down at the waterfront park, then I'll see all the officers, you know, Bladensburg, Edmonston, Colmar Manor, Cottage City, I see all of them. But rarely do I see Bladensburg come over to answer calls within our town borders. I rarely see that. But how often do our officers call over to like Bladensburg from their cell phone? Do they do that regularly?
No, it's very rare because they either have, you know, Evanston, Brentwood, or Como Manor. And like I said, it's the point where those three are the ones that back each other up because we're on the same channel and we close by. We can't rely on Mount Rainier because Mount Rainier is on a different channel. We can't rely on Bladensburg, they're on a different channel. So that means if we have one officer working and Como Manor has nobody working, we have nobody to back our officer up except for Brentwood. That's on the same channel. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I was assuming that we already had a mutual aid agreement. I mean, I just thought that it's common sense. I mean, we but the city. When I got there, I mean, I always see Brentwood back in Carter City and Como Manor ever since I've been a police officer. So why you don't have an MOU with them? MAA with them, I don't know. I'm just saying that right now, I realize that we don't have one. I'm like the chief over there, we need to have one just to cover ourselves. Do we need one? Yes, we do, because our officer and our citizens mean a lot to me. I don't want our citizens have to wait a long period of time to get help if they have a domestic or have a situation where you need a two-person to go to that call, or two officers from that call. They will hold that call. The dispatcher would not send an officer by themselves no more. Right now, he has to stay there until backup comes, or until the dispatcher will go ahead and have someone, just go over there and back the officer up if he's in trouble. If it's a domestic and it's not like a bond domestic at the time, they're gonna have that call set, and we have an officer available. But he or she can't go to that call until he or she has backup.
Can I suggest that we ask Mr. Best to draft an appropriate MAA and ordinance and bring this back next month?
Ms. Barber, was Mr. Best on the line when we first discussed this? Because I don't recall him, I don't recall having this input before we decided to draft the document.
No, it was discussed briefly at the work session. He was not.
At the work session. Okay, thank you.
Well, I just wanted to interject with Commissioner Young's comment. I would say that the agreement is probably in substantially good legal sufficient form, and I don't anticipate it, although I have not read it, that it's going to require a dramatic amount of editing. Madam Chair.
Thank you.
But you did say that you thought we also needed an ordinance, right? I thought I heard you say that.
Most definitely, yeah, that's right. Most definitely, the statute requires that if you don't pass it in accordance with state law, it's a nullity, invalid.
So you need to make sure all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted, and bring it back to us. Well, at the work session, I guess, for us to look at it and discuss, and then town meeting. That would be my suggestion.
Chief, can I ask you one more question?
Yes, ma'am.
So for routine traffic stops, that's not something that would be filtered to the police through the dispatch. But would they need a backup for that? Because I notice a lot of times when I see people being pulled over, it's always like another police car coming.
Yeah, you always want to back up an officer on traffic, because people that do bad things sometimes don't realize they broke a law, like tell you to stop the stop sign or ran a red light, and they might have open warrants. You gotta realize the number one way we get people that are wanted by the police is by routine traffic stops and routine suspect stops. So anytime you have a traffic stop, you always have an officer coming from somewhere to back that officer up. So that's why I said how important it is to have this MAA with neighboring jurisdictions, because we don't have full staff. We're not 24 hours. Como Manor is not 24-hour policing. Brentwood is not 24-hour policing. So you will have holes in our scheduling where we're not going to have all three municipalities work at the same time, but an officer might need backup. So it's the point where we have to make sure that our officers are protected. We got to make sure that our citizens are protected, that they a call won't get placed on hold because they need to wait for two officers to get together to go to a call. When we're not working, the county police have to come. They send 2 people, they send 2 county officers over. Brentwood won't be backing them up because county would send 2 officers that are available over to our town to actually handle 2-person calls. But if our officer is there by his or herself and does a traffic stop, the nearest backup to us is going to be our neighboring police departments. And that's the most dangerous call you can go on other than domestics is a traffic stop. That's where most officers getting killed on. It's routine traffic stops. So they're always going to have officers coming to back them up.
Okay, thank you. I agree. I think we do need to do the MAA with Brentwood. All right, if there's no further discussion, we can go to the next thing, which is the collaboration for the vaccination clinic in North Brentwood. So this is for the MOU between the 4 towns. And the 4 towns would be North Brentwood, Brentwood, Cottage City, and Colmar Manor. I know that Brentwood has agreed. I know North Brentwood has agreed. We discussed this last week in the work session, and we had a consensus from the commissioners that were present to do the vaccination clinic with the to use some of our ARPA funds to help fund the incentives for the vaccination clinic, which again, that wouldn't be no more than maybe $5,000 to $7,000. We did agree in the meeting with the mayors to do an MOU with all the towns. So we would be in agreement. So that is what is being presented tonight. It was sent to you in advance for your convenience, so you could have time to read it over, ask any questions, make any suggestions. I did hear from Commissioner Young. I didn't really hear from anyone else. I know I had mentioned that Mr. Best was also the attorney for North Brentwood, but from my understanding, Mr. Best did not review this MOU. And I believe because it was just a simple MOU, wasn't nothing really drastic in it. From what I read, it was very simple. I don't know if we want to spend the money to have Mr. Best review it. Of course, if that's what the commission wishes, that's fine with me. I don't know if it's necessary. Because again, it is very simple and very short, straight to the point. So if there's any questions on the MOU, now's the time to ask.
Commissioner Wheatley, I was not present, I believe, for the last meeting because I had a family issue. You approved on the commission, the entire commission, of using the ARPA funds for the clinic.
I'm sorry, your phone was breaking up. I didn't understand what you said. Were you asking about the clinic? I don't know what your question is.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm saying the entire commission voted to use a portion of the ARPA funds for this. Is that what you agreed on?
No, what I said was those commissioners that were present, we came to a consensus last week in the work session. I didn't say the full commission, I said those that were present. We did have a quorum at the time.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any questions in regards to the MOU? Hearing no questions, do we all agree to sign on to the MOU.
I agree. I did have one quick question.
Yes,
I think I saw an email today about kids getting vaccinated. That was for something different, right, or not?
that was something different, and that's going to be at the Sports and Learning Center. This one is going to be at the North Brentwood Community Center, which is in our neighborhood. Well, not too
Right.
far from
No,
our
I knew
neighborhood.
that. I didn't read the whole thing. I didn't realize. Okay, that's all. Anyway, but the one at the Brentwood, North Brentwood, will also offer to children and also boosters. Did I get that right?
Yes, that's correct. I believe that was one of your questions that you wanted me to find out about. And I went
Right.
back and at the meeting asked that question, and the answer was yes. They will provide boosters. They will be administering vaccines to children 5 years of age and older.
Great. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, I've only heard from Commissioner Young. I do need everyone to either agree or disagree, so I can let
Commissioner-
let the towns know.
Commissioner Givens, I defer to you all, so I'll agree with what you all have discussed since I wasn't in the meeting.
Thank you. I'm still waiting to hear from Commissioners Amashay and Yuri.
I did speak. I guess you couldn't hear me. I agree.
No, I didn't hear you. Thank you. Was that Commissioner Yuri? Did you say something?
Yes, I said I agree as well.
Okay. I'll go ahead and sign off on the MOU. Thank you. Let's see what's next. Okay, the holiday meal for seniors. Ms. Barber, I see that you had 2 contracts for us to look at. Did you want to discuss those contracts? Because the only thing I saw that was different, it was like a $20 difference and the meal was basically the same.
Yes, so I wanted to make sure that I was comparing apples to apples. So when I contacted the 2 vendors, I gave them both the same menu. And they brought back their pricing. There was I think $1 difference in the per meal costs. I believe Carolina's Kitchen was at $16 per meal, and Tanda Catering was at $15 per meal. I did contact both Boston Market to get a third quote, but they indicated that they could only do the entrees, and I don't understand why, but she told me they could only do the entrees in a to-go package. The sides are still in a family style container. So that one wasn't included.
Commissioner Givens, speak.
Yes.
Is the second person you said, is that the lady who's done the meals for us in the past?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Angie Williams is with Iantha Williams.
I would much prefer. I'd much prefer her. I've eaten at Carolina Kitchens. It's very salty. And one thing you probably don't need a lot of is the overabundance of salt. And I know that her food is I've had her food before, and it's not overly salty and it's still good. So I would advocate to utilize her services once again. I yield back.
Thank you. How do other commissioners feel?
I agree with Demetrius.
Same, I'm fine with it.
I agree as well.
Fine with me as well. So I think we'll just go with Miss Tandy. Miss Tanda. How does she pronounce her name? Is it Tanda?
Her name is actually Iantha Williams. Her it's called Tanda Catering though.
Okay. All right. So I guess we'll just go with what we know. All right, next is new business. Okay, so this is in regards to the church using the town halls. I think we kind of addressed that, right?
Yes, ma'am. I'll give them the price and see if they're still interested.
Oh, this
Okay.
chief fairs. Just touch base on that. They asked me to see, because they want to go into a long-term contract for like probably 2 months, 2 or 3 months, every Sunday for 2 or 3 months. If they do something like that and we set up a contract with them to lock them in for those 2 or 3 months, can we give them a lower price because they're going to be consistent at the same time? We will have a different contract drawn up for them because of the use every Sunday for 2 to 3 months. I'm just asking.
How much lower?
I would say like probably $250 a Sunday. So that'd be they would pay for 4 Sundays a month.
This is Sunday mornings.
Yes, ma'am. Sunday morning.
Kevin, there's no issue of separation of religion from this government, is there?
They're not going to make.
There, to answer your question, there is the lemon test in Supreme Court jurisprudence that is used to figure out whether there's excessive entanglement between a government and the church or a church. My guess is it would not be considered excessive entanglement, but I haven't really done the analysis to determine that. I haven't, to even articulate a good answer, I would need to spend at least
Right.
5 or 10 minutes, thinking about my answer instead of shooting from the hip right on this, but I suspect it's not an issue.
And this is not permanent, it's temporary. Right, Chief?
Yes, ma'am. Right now they're trying to find a new home. What happened, ma'am, is that the firehouse at the corner of 40th Avenue and Bladensburg Road, they were renting a space on the top floor to the church. They've been doing it for the last 2 years without our knowledge of it. When we went over there with zoning to actually have them shut down because they had a lot of fire violations and
Right.
wasn't up to date. So they had to put the church out. So I'm just trying to help the church out until they find a new home. And they are looking for a home. They are talking to a real estate agent right now to try to find them a permanent home where they can purchase, but it's gonna take some time. And so it's trying to find somewhere to stay for at least a month or two, just to get things finalized with the new move.
It's okay with Kevin, it's okay with me.
How do other commissioners feel?
Commissioner Givens, I don't have a problem with that, and even giving them a lower rate, it's fine, so long as, like you said, it's cumulative. I yield back.
Thank you, Commissioners Armache and Yuri.
I'm fine with it.
I agree also. I'm fine with that. Thank you.
I'm in agreement with the $250 rental fee to the church. All right, so you have a consensus on that one.
Thank you.
Let's see, what's next? Red light camera contract extension?
Let me ask a quick question on this. Because I don't want you to step in something here. And again, I'm devoid of any facts. So can you tell me real quick how long they're going to use? They're going to use the town hall. Is that it, Chief?
Yes, sir. The town hall, I'll be coming in to open up for them, and they be using it for a short period of time on Sunday mornings for their service. They have one service. They have 50 members.
Okay, how many iterations or church services or days or events are we talking about?
You're talking about 4 Sundays a month, every Sunday during the month of December and January. They said they should be out before February, but they just trying to lock something in for at least 2 months, just to make sure that, they have a place to go to have their services.
Are you planning on entering into a license or lease with them?
Yes, that's why I said it's gonna be a separate contract that I will go ahead and send to you for you to look at it before we get going.
And I assume that will have an indemnification or hold harmless provision?
Most definitely, most definitely.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Will they agree to wear masks?
Yes, ma'am, they will wear masks, and it's 50 members.
And what?
The county executive's order requires that. That would be effective. So yeah, they would have to wear, I think if you're above 2 years of age in Prince George's County, you have to wear a mask inside.
That's correct, sir.
All right, so we can move on to the next item on our agenda tonight, which is the red light contract extension. Is that you, Chief?
No, that's me.
That's you, okay.
Right. So, I'm just trying to find it so I can pull it up, but I can talk to you about it. Basically, it is the same contract that we are under with Vera Mobility. They are the firm that provides our red light camera and invoices us through the Howard County is the master contract. This is the 6th of 7 contract extensions that are allowed under the master contract. They have indicated to Howard County that they would like to increase their rates. I received an email about that from Howard County. Their Howard County purchasing is evaluating the contract and the increase that they've requested, although this does not cover that increase. So the increase, I believe, and Mr. Best could correct me, if the increase does take place, then they would have to come back to amend the contract again. But this is at the current price, and it does extend it for 1 year period beginning July 1st, 2022, and ending December 31st, 2022.
I thought we had talked about going with a different company for the red light cameras.
The chief and I had talked about that, but the chief can give you a little bit more information on Gatsco, and we're having some concerns regarding Gatsco and the red light portion of the camera. Gatsco is also with the speed cameras. So Chief, did you want to talk a little bit about the plan as far as with Gatsco?
Yes, I had a discussion with Gatsco last week in reference to some of the concerns that was brought to my attention by Mount Rainier and some other municipalities that have them in reference to collection fees and in reference to complaints that were coming into the police department instead of going to their complaint center. So when I spoke to Gatsco this past week, they promised me that they have made changes in their collections. They are trying to do things internally now by hiring a group of individuals in the state of Maryland to actually have a call center here in Maryland instead of out in the Midwest, where the concerns were that people couldn't reach them. So they're trying to, shore up some of my concerns, and I wanted to make sure those concerns are addressed before we go into any contract with them. And so when I spoke to the town manager today, we thought it's best for us to stay with Howard County's contract with mobility for right now until we lock in something with a new speed camera program. And later on down the road, we go ahead and switch it over to that company, take on over both the red light camera as well as the speed camera. But right now, we think it's best interest for the town to actually stay with the red light camera where it is until we get a locked in contract with someone with the speed camera. And then later on next year, if they do well with the speed camera, move everything over to that one vendor. But that's what we discussed today, and I think that's the best way for us to go.
Who's doing the speed camera? Which vendor is doing that one?
Gasso, that's what we're looking at right now.
Okay, so we'll have two vendors. We'll have one vendor for the speed camera, and we'll have this company for the red light camera.
Yes, for just a year. And once the year is up, then we think that, we feel comfortable with the speed camera company. We'll go ahead and move everything over to that one company, the speed as well as the red light camera.
So we'll be paying two vendors.
You'll be paying two different prices anyway, because two different setups.
Okay. Ms. Barber, did you have anything else to go over with this contract?
No, ma'am.
Are there any questions? Any discussion?
No.
So you said this doesn't have the price included in it?
Price increase. Because the Howard County has not approved, the municipalities have not approved their price increase that they've requested.
Okay, so I'm looking at it. Where's the cost? I don't know how much it is.
It varies based on, the cost varies based on the number of citations that are issued. So if you remember looking at the bill, it's, the bill, we pay Howard County one bill for administering the contract, and then we pay Vera Mobility for each month with the citations that are issued in that month. So it varies.
Okay, so what is this amendment to the contract for then? What is this Sixth Amendment? What is this for?
So the parent agreement is with Howard County. Howard County did the procurement for the red light cameras for all the municipalities that participate in that contract. That contract was a one-year contract with 7 opportunities for each year for it to be renewed. This is the 6th of 7.
Okay, so we have one more to go.
We have one more option to go before it would have to be completely rebid.
Okay. Okay, so you just need us to agree to this so you can sign off on it?
Yes, ma'am.
And you'll be signing this agreement?
I can sign it or you can sign it. It doesn't make a difference. If you're coming in, you can sign both.
All right. Does anyone have any objections to signing this 6th agreement?
No.
I think someone said no. Did I hear that correct?
Yes, that was Commissioner Amarche.
Okay. Is everyone else in agreement with signing this document?
Yes.
Commissioner Givens, yes.
Okay, that's the majority. All right, we can move on to the next one. Let's see, what's next? Oh, community forklift grant expenditure.
Right, so I'll take that one. You'll recall in the work session that Community Forklift contacted us and let us know that we hadn't used the $500 allotment that they grant us each year, and that it was expiring in the end of December. And the commission indicated to check with the staff to see if there were any items that the staff thought that they could use, or to check with the garden. And I did check with the garden, I did check with staff. There were no things indicated by staff, but the garden did indicate that they have a need for some items and what they would like to do. Ms. Drakeford would like to go over to Community Forklift and see what they have in stock that meets their needs. She mentioned some wood to do some building and some other things. And I told her that was fine. And when she saw if there was anything that met their needs, to let me know. And then you all could approve that if you wanted to. So that just wanted to give you an update on that.
Okay, that's fine with me, but we do need to use this money by December 31st, correct?
Correct.
Okay, can you just make sure she knows that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, anybody have any objections? Are you okay with the garden using that grant money? All right, hearing no objections, I guess it's
Okay
okay.
with me.
All right, let's keep moving. Let's see. Oh, the entrepreneurship program. Oh, Lord. I think that was me, wasn't it, Miss Barbara?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm not very familiar with this one. I believe this is something that was sent to me, and I don't think I had a chance to really look at it. But it's something that, who sent this to me? I believe it was Mayor Robinson from North Brentwood sent this to me. And it's an idea to do, I guess, an entrepreneurship. I don't know if it's like a workshop or something. I'm
I
not
think it's
even
more
sure.
like a little incubator, like a small entrepreneurial incubator, like type situation.
Mm-hmm.
And what it would do is it would give residents the opportunity to reach out to some resources that are available to them,
Like
and start their own business.
For like startup businesses and small businesses and stuff like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So I guess I don't know if I sent this to everyone, or did I just send it to you, Miss Barbara? Maybe I just sent it to you.
I don't know, but it was on the agenda for 5 days.
Yeah. So I didn't get a chance to really talk to Mayor Robinson about this one, but I know it's something she was presenting to the municipalities in the area to see if they were interested in partnering with North Brentwood to do this for the residents. So I don't think she was in a rush to get an answer. So we can literally table this one until I can get some more information.
Madam Chair, I wanted to ask, what is it exactly they're asking to be supported? They're asking for a in-kind contribution, a donation, used facilities? Exactly what are they asking for?
See, that's what I need to find out. That's why I want to table it, because I didn't get a chance to really get a presentation from her on this one. So I'll need to get some more information. When I get more information, I'll let everyone know. We can table that one. Okay, let's keep it moving. Let's see. This is the CPA, the contract for the new treasurer.
So I did have I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
I did have an opportunity to checked the references for Alta CPA, and they were very good references. I know Commissioner Wheatley, you said you had a question about the specific work. And when I asked Mr. Frankenfield about that, he referred me back to the contract in a paragraph in the contract. I'll bring that up real quick here so everybody can see it. He referred me to this section here of the services to be provided as the specific tasks associated with the contract, and that if any other additional work or investigations, it would be in a separate engagement letter. Having looked at it, it fits all of the needs that we have. And if there's anything, I guess, that comes along down the road that you all would prefer them to do, it would be included in a separate fee structure. So I think, Mr. Best, I sent this to you and you reviewed it, and you mentioned that they were in good standing with the state.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you talk to what's the main guy's name?
Todd Frankenfield.
I'm sorry, Frank what?
Frankenfield.
Franklin Field?
Frankenfield.
What's his first name?
Todd.
Todd Frankenfield. Okay, I thought you were saying Frank was his first name. Todd Frankenfield. Did you talk with him about sort of him talking with Mike Lightfield to get a sense where, well, actually with you too, so everyone would have a clear understanding of what things he would be doing and how we might differ from what larger towns do?
No, ma'am, I did not have an opportunity to ask him that question. I did talk with Mr. Lightfield, though, and Mr. Lightfield said that he would be willing to meet with whomever it is that we choose to fill that position of treasurer, to fill them in on any questions or concerns that they may have had that were not readily apparent through the financials.
Okay. I think that'd probably be good for you and the two of them to get together and just, make sure that the new guy understands all that. Might be good to just clue him in before this is finalized too, to avoid any upsets like with the last one. In any event, it sounds good, and thanks to pass on our thanks to Mr. Lightfield for agreeing to do that. Was there anything unusual in that paragraph, Kevin, that you saw? I mean, it sounds like they're just saying they're not going to be responsible for any screw-ups on our part.
No, I don't see anything problematic with that services to be provided paragraph.
Good.
Any other questions or comments? Any discussion? Has everyone had a chance to look at the contract? I know I asked to see a detail of the description of the services that they provide.
That's when he referred me back to that paragraph.
That's it?
Yes, ma'am. I can try and
I
get
think the
some
most-
further clarification if that's not sufficient for you.
I think the most important thing is to just come to an understanding between you and him based on the two of you talking with Mike about how it's all to be done, and it's so that everybody's clear on that from the start.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Is that okay?
I
Is
guess
that
it's
okay with you, Consuela?
I will do whatever is the will of the commission.
Just to start us off on a good foot.
While everyone's thinking about that, I will chime in and say that I have another municipal client that uses Alta. I think they're pretty well known. It's Upper Marlboro uses their services.
Good.
And I did talk with Upper Marlboro as one of their references.
Mm. So we need to make a decision tonight, right?
It would be helpful just to keep things moving forward and to get some backlog items brought up to speed for the commission before going into the December month.
Thank you for doing this. I think we ought to go forward with it.
Okay, this document looks different than the one that I saw earlier today. So were there two different documents?
No, ma'am. This is a document that's been on the computer. What you have is what you have in your inbox to sign by DocuSign is slightly different because there were some errors like the ones that you pointed out about the
Mhm.
Town of Cottage City project, and I had her change that. And I had her change the signatory from me to you. So what you see in your inbox is essentially the same, except for with those amendments.
Okay, but when I click on the link that's in the agenda, it brings up that document that's in my inbox.
No,
It had-
no, I don't have that document.
Okay, I just clicked on the document in the meeting agenda where it says contract,
Mm-hmm.
and the signer on that document is you.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The one that you have in your inbox from Alta, that is a DocuSign document for you to sign,
Mm-hmm.
has the corrections. This does not have those corrections on it.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Right. So when you go into your inbox and go into that email from Alta to DocuSign the document, it will have your name as the signatory, and it will have Town of Cottage City, Maryland as the client.
Yeah, I went in my inbox and I can't find that email anymore. So I don't know if I deleted it. I don't know what happened.
I
don't
can have
it.
her resend that. That's not a problem.
Yeah. But you want us to take a vote on this tonight and it's not correct. That's all I was saying.
Okay. What will have to happen is she'll have to send it to me and you, and I'm not sure if she can do that, but if she can, I can have her do that tomorrow. And then you all can revisit this in December or do it at a special session.
Question, can you spell out what the changes are from the one we're looking at? so that we'll know what we'd be voting on?
Yes, ma'am. So when you look at the very first line, it says this agreement made as, let me bring it up. I'm sorry, I'm not screen sharing. When you look at this line here, it says Town of Cottage City, the company. That will state, it should state Town of Cottage City, Maryland. And when you go to the second page, it says at the end of the first page and the beginning of the second page, it says Town of Cottage City Project. That will say Town of Cottage City, Maryland. And when you look in this second page, the second sentence here where it says Town of Cottage City Projects failure to pay, that will, all of these references to Town of Cottage City Project will say Town of Cottage City, Maryland.
Commissioner Givens to speak.
Go ahead.
So basically, those are semantics and technicalities. But the gist of the contract is awarding the contract to the company. So I believe if with Mr. Best's advice, that we could probably just go ahead and award the contract based on the current information, because you're talking about technicalities, and just allow the signing of the contract once the technicalities of spelling and semantics are worked out. But the actual award of the contract and the amount of the contract is what's seemingly important, and to go ahead and get that on the ball now so that we don't have to continue to fall behind in our finances. I yield back.
I agree.
Does everyone else agree? It's fine with me. I just, before I sign it, I just would like for it to be corrected. Especially if it has my name on it. If you're signing it, Ms. Barbara, that's, you can sign with the way you want to sign it.
Let me just say that I agree with Commissioner Givens. There's no substantive change required. You're just talking about non-substantive language. By the way, the town's legal name is Town of Cottage City. It's not Town of Cottage City, Maryland. So whenever you sign an agreement, you should make sure it says above your signature, Town of Cottage City. If someone puts in comma Maryland, it's probably not a big deal, but that's the legal name, Town of Cottage City. No nothing behind it. And of course, your signature line should have the word by with a colon, and then you sign it. So that's kind of the particulars on that. But I agree with Commissioner Givens. If this thing is ready to go, but for these non-substantive problems, go ahead and approve it tonight and authorize the chair to sign it. By the way, you should always, when you approve something of contractual significance, state who you authorize to sign it. Why? Because you have nothing in your charter or code that states who is the default person for signing contractual instruments. So you should always include that in your motion as to who has authority to sign in the Town of Cottage City, unless you want to pass an ordinance that will solidify that, or a charter amendment. That's what you should do. Thank you.
I've heard from 2 commissioners. I need to hear from the other 2. Well, you've heard from me. So, Commissioner Jury and Armitage.
I am fine with it.
Is Commissioner Yuri still with us? Or did we lose her?
I see
I
her.
Looks
don't
like she-
see her on the line.
I see her name.
Oh, yeah, I see her name. Never mind.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
muted. It looks like she's muted.
Yeah, well, we got 4, so that's enough. So, Yeah,
Do we need a formal motion?
you
If
want to
so,
make
I'll
a
make it.
motion? You want to go
I
ahead?
move that, yeah, I move that we authorize our chair, Wanda Wheatley, to sign this contract on our behalf with Alta CPA Group.
You
Kevin,
have
does
to,
that take care of it?
you have to
With-
announce the award amount of the contract. Thank you.
And you need to say with the changes that we've asked for.
With the
Even though
changes that we have discussed.
Yeah, we
And
discussed. And
for
the
an amount of
contract is
12
is 15,000 and it's 1250 a month, each month. Total for
As
15,000 for the year.
Right, as stated by the chair. That's my motion.
There's a second.
Commissioner Givens, I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Givens, aye.
Aye.
Yuri,
Commissioner Wheatley, aye. All right, Ms. Barber, we're good with that one.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, next is the ARPA workshop.
Yes, ma'am. You all had mentioned that you wanted to have some opportunities for engagement with the public other than the survey. And so I would be willing to do some workshops in the next coming month to just give a brief background of ARPA with probably our treasurer and to the public and get some feedback for those individuals who would feel more comfortable having some Q&A, questions and answers, as opposed to filling out the survey that's either online or that they received in person. And so I wanted to see if that was something that you all still wanted to do. And I also wanted to provide you all that draft job description for the grant coordinator, which was linked in the agenda that you see here. So I don't know if you had an opportunity to look at that, but I did just want to put that in front of you all so that you could review that as we go forward.
And where were you going to advertise this position?
So we're going to advertise the position, of course, on our website and NNL, and also probably through the Washington Post, because the PG Post doesn't do, they don't do many employment announcements. They are mostly a paper of record. So they do mostly like legal things. I mean, you could do it for them, but I'm not sure that it has that type of circulation really for people who are looking for jobs. And we could put it on Indeed as well.
What's the pay?
The pay, you all would need to decide that. But it can be covered by, it can be covered. It is temporary. Yes, ma'am. It would be probably for the duration of the grant.
What do you recommend?
You know, I would really have to do a little bit more research and find out what other jurisdictions are proposing. And I, quite frankly, haven't had the opportunity to do that and putting together the job description. I did look at the other jurisdictions' job descriptions in helping to craft this, but I did not contact them about the salary.
Did you get the email I sent you with the job descriptions from Hyattsville? Because I think theirs had the job salary on the job description.
Yes, ma'am, I did look at those. One was for the ARPA position particularly, and then the other one was more of a general position.
A general grant position, grant writer.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because I thought we had talked about, this position possibly, if the person could go after other grants that could fund the position, similar to how we've done. I'm not sure if it was Kim Knox that was the grant writer that we shared with the port towns, but I think we all each kind of chipped in to pay her salary. And then I think she also went after grants to kind of help supplement her salary. So I thought we had talked about maybe finding someone who could just, be a grant writer for the town, not just for ARPA.
Would it be, that is what I took into consideration when I wrote the job description.
Mhm.
So that is in there. But of course, the funding for the position should not go past the ARPA term unless you all wanted to pay for it, because ARPA, you can use the ARPA funds to pay for the salary of the position. Anything beyond that, you all would have to pick up.
Mhm. But you did put something in the description like that to kind of address that part.
To address the more general nature of the grant writing.
Okay. All righty. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. I guess we can talk about the tot lot.
Right. So you all asked me at the work session to get a deadline on when the funds for the tot lot grant had to be spent. And I did talk with the director, and what she indicated to me is while it doesn't have a fixed timeline, they do look favorably upon spending the grant funds within the first 2 years of receiving the grant. And if they like to see movement on the grant, because they have much larger grants that they've done, and sometimes these are multi-phase projects, and so sometimes the grant can go up to 5 years. For a project of this scope, I would think that we should be able to spend the grant funds within 2 years, and she was fine with that.
Okay, so that gives us time to put the RFP back out and get the amenities that Commissioner Uri and Armiche had talked about.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, well, if there's nothing else to discuss about that, we can move on. So let's go to Public Works.
Hold on, I threw in one last thing there for you. I was looking at the calendar and for December, and I noticed December is one of those months where the work session and the meeting are back to back. It's a Tuesday and a Wednesday. The first Tuesday and the second Wednesday are back to back. So I wanted to know if you all wanted to cancel your work session or if you wanted to have it.
They're in the same week. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they're in the same week. One's Tuesday and one's Wednesday, right back to back.
I'm okay with canceling the work session.
Now, if you cancel the work session, you would not have an opportunity to discuss that MAA before it came up for passage in the initial reader of the ordinance, because Mr. Best is going to draft the ordinance, and it has to have 2 readers.
For the MAA with Brentwood?
Yes, ma'am.
Just correction, it can be one reader if it's
Oh,
an
it can
emergency
be?
ordinance. If
Okay, as an emergency ordinance.
If you
Right.
call it emergency ordinance, yeah.
Okay. But they still wouldn't have an opportunity to discuss it before the meeting.
Well, how do you guys want to have the work session, or what do you want to do?
I'm okay with canceling it, but maybe if something comes up where we might need to have it, we could leave it open. But otherwise, assume that we're not going to have it unless something comes up that would make it necessary.
Anybody else is want to cancel the work session? Okay, don't all speak at once.
Commissioner Gibbons, I'm okay with canceling work session.
Sorry, why are we canceling it?
Because it's the day before the town meeting.
I'm okay with as long as, yeah, I'm okay with canceling it.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, I think everybody said they were okay with canceling it.
Okay, we'll make sure that we let the public know that it's canceled.
Okay. Okay, what was that? Public Works. Mr. Pinckney? Is he still with us?
I'm here. I think I have on here the sidewalk work. The DIR is beginning to do the sidewalks. They're supposed to come out tomorrow to start, and they're going to do them in sections. Try to give us the sections that they're going to do, so we can kind of let the public know through our website, and I believe Ms. Barbara said Constant Contact will continue to try to put an update up of where they're going to be at. When they do sidewalks in front of driveways, they plan to, they have a template letter that they will give out to the residents, letting them know how many days before they can actually utilize their driveway again. Just so that they'll, be informed and won't drive over the concrete and mess it up. They do plan to use the 38th lot, our lot on 38th, to store their equipment. After they finish, they'll regrade it and they will seed it and put it back together for us. That's pretty much the only place that we have, so that they won't be in the street taking up more parking spots on various different streets. They'll have their big trucks come in and drop off the stone and stuff like that, and then they'll use smaller trucks to take it to the sites versus having big piles of stone and stuff on the streets. So yeah, they're supposed to be starting on tomorrow. We already did kind of a walkthrough, gave them the list of stuff, and they are ready to go. Looking to be finished within the next, I believe we gave them until December to finish, because the grant is, I believe we have to be finished by December 31st. So they are pushing to do it. They may do some work on Saturdays as well, but they'll give us the locations of where they'll be working at on those Saturdays, so that we can kind of put a notification out, let people know where they'll be at. And then I believe we had on there discussion about the speed humps and the signage. I believe the commission was going to make a decision whether or not they wanted to put speed humps on 37th Place in Parkwood, where we already did the trial run. We just never made a decision to make those speed humps permanent. And then also there was a suggestion, I believe the chief wanted to put the existing speed sign that we have right now over there. We do have that speed sign. We did take it down. We're cleaning it up, and we're going to see if it still works, because I remember it worked, but then I remember sometimes we went through and it didn't work. So we're going to clean it up and see if it's just a matter of the solar panels just needed to be cleaned or if it actually needs to be serviced. If we can even get it serviced, or if it's something that we don't have access to servicing it anymore. So we're going to do an assessment on it, and I guess we can give you guys a report on that as we get a little bit more information from cleaning it and trying to see if it actually works. Other speed signs, I believe the chief has a nice unit that he is going to propose on his report. I believe that they also have the information about the grant, if we can use the grant to be able to purchase those things. And that is pretty much it.
Rick, this is Ann. I think, well, I guess to everyone, I think we should go ahead with the speed hump on Parkwood at 37th Place, which we discussed last week, and you said that the pre-work had already been done in terms of putting in the trial speed bump. This does sound like it's a significant problem, and since we've already done the preparatory work, I think we should go ahead with that. And it was specifically asked that go all the way across the street so that they wouldn't drive around it if it's just on part of the street. I think that's usually the way you do it, right?
Correct.
Okay, I guess if I need to make a motion, I guess I'd make that motion. I do think we should go ahead with that one. Since the preliminary work has already been done on it.
Are you making a motion now?
Yeah, if I need to, yeah, I'll make a motion, yeah, that we do go ahead with that one.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Gibbons, aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Gibbons, aye.
Fury,
All right.
aye.
Okay. So that one passed.
Thank you.
Okay, and leaf season has started, so we are out. Right now, our truck is getting its fall maintenance, and we had a couple brake issues with the truck that is getting fixed over at Fleet right now. We should have our truck back on Friday. But in the meantime, we've been using our other truck and just going around prepping streets into piles and just throwing it on the back of the truck because we can dump both the leaf machine and the big truck at College Park. So we're still doing leaves. We just won't have the machine out until after we get our truck back on Friday, but we are in leaf season right now. So I believe it's in the newsletter. Might have went out on Constant Contact and everything about citizens being able to put their leaves in piles and call up to the town hall and let us know, that their leaves are out and we can come pick them up. We'll also be putting up some signs, letting them know what streets we'll hit on what days for no parking and stuff like that, especially on our some of our real heavy streets like Cottage Terrace and Parkwood and Ward 1, and then 40th Avenue, and as well as Bunker Hill Road. So we're moving pretty good with leaves right now until we get our truck back. And that's it.
All right, thank you. If there's no questions for Greg, we can go to the next one. I think Chief, you're up next. All right.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. If possible, I'd like to discuss the speed monitoring system. It's called Speed Chill. It's a electronic battery operated sign that actually lights up to tell a person's speed as well as take down data. So we would have the data to see how fast people are going, the volume of speeders, what time they are traveling through our streets. It'd be good to help us out for enforcement. Also, we're trying to purchase a speed trailer. This trailer is very versatile. We can use it for signs to let people know about events or parking, or if we have some kind of message to send out to people on a certain street or the main thoroughfare on Bladensburg Road, we can actually put a sign out to actually let people know about what's going on, as well as at the same time, it would take down data of people speeding because it has a radar that is attached to the trailer that actually will document and give me data to know how fast people are speeding on the roadway that's there, giving out the message. Also, I can put it into a mode like this mode that you see on the screen, where it actually can show a person's speed and I'll let them know how fast they're going. And that's be good for Bladensburg Road and also for other streets that, like 30th Avenue, where a large volume of cars are going past at one time. It's good to put that trailer up to let people know how fast they're going. The small signs are, if Tom Mann could go to the small signs real quick. We try to get 4 of these signs to put in different parts of the community. There are mobile so that means we can take them from one street to another and move them around. The signs, we did get quoted with some prices. I can pull the prices up real quick for you. Hello?
Yeah, I'm trying to find them. Just
Okay.
in a minute. You can keep talking.
Okay, well, I have the prices in front of me right now. In reference to the 4 signs, these signs are smart signs. So it does collect data. It also has a built-in radar system inside all the signs. It would show the speed of the vehicle as well as document the time the vehicle went past. Those signs start off at, for 4 signs, well, actually it's $2,195 per sign with a total amount of $8,780. In reference to the traffic data collection, for that is $500 per unit. The alert system is $350 per unit. The power kit, which gives you an extra power charger as well as battery, is $595 per unit. You also get the shipping and handling costs, which is $120 per unit. And the total amount altogether is $13,180 for the speed shields. In reference to the trailer, the amount we have for the trailer is, I'll pull it up real quick for you. Oh, she has it up.
Is that the second one?
The second one.
That's the 16,000 one?
Yes.
Okay, just a minute.
Okay. In reference to this one, the traffic radar system, you do have what we call 6 panels. So it means that you can have a message that slides through 6 panels, giving information out. At the same time, you can turn it to a speed sign to show us how fast people are going. That unit will cost, with all the bells and whistles for it, $16,300 for that trailer, which can be used for major events that we have. If we have roads closures or like we have major constructions, you can actually put signage up there, let people know on the detour. So it's a very versatile trailer. This is what I want to purchase also for safety in the community, which will be $16,300. We did talk to them in reference to using our ARPA funds. They said, yes, they do have a lot of people putting in for these units for the ARPA funds because it's under public safety. So right now, I'm trying to see if I can get permission to purchase these today. The reason why is because right now they're flying off the shelves as well as they have a back order. They're trying to get me in the first shipment of units if possible. If not, we'll be waiting for a long period of time because of the parts and how slow the shipping is right now in the United States, because some of these parts are coming from overseas. So I'm trying to see if possible to move forward tonight with the purchase of these 5 items.
Chief, do you have pictures of the items?
Yes, ma'am.
I see one with the trailer, but I'm trying to see where the other ones, what they look like.
And these will all be paid for by ARPA funds, you said, right?
That's correct, ma'am, because under public safety.
Sounds good.
Chief, where are you planning to put all of this equipment in Cottage City? Like, where are you planning? Do you have a designated places that you?
Well, this is the major streets for right now, but what's so nice about these units, we can move them around. I purchased 2 when I was over at Capitol Heights. They were very useful, giving my officers data to know what time the hard traveling vehicles are coming through the town. So we actually gear our enforcement around those hours. Also talks about, it gives you the data that I can send over each month to the commission to show that it's working or is reducing the speed, how the speed was when we first started the program, how it's going after a couple of weeks on that same street. So it's used to reduce the speeders because it shows their speed as well as it has signs saying that you are being recorded. We don't have the capabilities to actually, with this system right here I'm purchasing because I'm trying to keep it in our budget. I don't want to spend too much money on the system that actually takes pictures, but they have a product that does take pictures of vehicles that are speeding and does give alerts if we had the capability to actually have a cell phone tied to it where it gives alerts when people are speeding at a high rate. So it's a good product. Let me see if I can pull up the picture.
I'll stop sharing if you want to share your screen, please.
Chief,
Yes.
so would this work with the speed cameras that we're talking about getting?
It's separate.
It's separate?
That's separate because these can be used on the side streets. So I can put this on like, Cottage Terrace. I can put it on Bunker Hill. I can move it around, put it on 38th. I can put it on 37th. So you can move it around. I have 4, so I can actually put it around the high volume areas for right now, and then move it around town at our leisure. So if we start having complaints on another street, I can move them around to the other street very quickly.
So you want to buy one?
I'm gonna buy 4.
You want to buy 4 of them?
We'll buy 4 of them and also buy the speed trailer. And speed
Okay, so
trailer,
when you say 4, you talking about 4 signs?
4 signs, yes. 4 signs and 1 message board radar trailer.
Okay, so the trailer is the one with the white trailer and the big sign?
Yes, and that can be used for signage also. Like if you have an event like parking, you want to say parking here or detour. It's very versatile trailer, so you use for many functions other than just speed enforcement.
Okay.
And we could, excuse me.
Yes.
If we could put one on 38, right where people come in from Brentwood.
That's correct.
Where they speed a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
We can put them on poles that are already existing out in the town, and we'll just move it around. So it's very versatile.
Are we still going to get the signs, the flashing signs for the pedestrians and the crosswalks and stuff?
Yeah.
Are we still doing that too?
I'm researching that also.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, because putting one on Cottage Terrace and Parkwood both would be great. But those issues have been raised about those for years.
Right. And that's
that would
why
be very helpful.
And that's why I want to get 4, because we have 4 major streets that come into our both sides. We have 2 streets go into Ward 1 and 2 streets that goes into Ward 2 and 3. So if we go ahead and have 4 signs, we can cover both of those streets, both sides of Cottage Terrace. We're gonna cover Bunker Hill on both sides. So not Bunker Hill, I'm sorry, Parkway on both sides. So to have those 4 signs is going to definitely show a big difference and reduce our speeding.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
So right now, I'm just asking permission to actually move forward and purchase these items. But before we do that, I need y'all to waive the bidding process for this. Due to the fact that we're trying to rush to get this purchase before they get overloaded. The purchases.
And how much did you say it was? 16?
16 for the trailer and 13, 108 for 4 signs.
So is that like 29, 30,000?
That's correct, ma'am.
And we would use our ARPA money to pay for that?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am. We go on to public safety.
Okay,
So do we
then,
need 2 different, I'm sorry.
yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. So we need a motion to waive the competitive bidding, then we need a motion to actually vote on the equipment. So Ann, were you about to make that motion?
I was gonna ask the same question, and
I think we haven't necessarily agreed with the city yet on how we want those funds to be, spent, and 30,000 is a lot. I would agree to maybe purchasing some of it, but all of it seems a bit much, honestly. And I know that we're a cut-through city for Bladensburg Road, but honestly, we have, 4 officers, on duty. They should be able to manage this. $30,000 seems like a lot of money to me, when we haven't even discussed how we're going to use this funds for the city. I don't think I can agree to this right now. Maybe some of the equipment, but not $30,000, all of it.
how much is the total that we're getting?
We're getting 1.1 million.
I think we should go forward with this. This is a very critical issue that's been with us for years and years, and I don't think $30,000 is too much to spend on it. It would solve so many problems for so many people, and I understand that you're worried about the money, but I think we can afford it given the total. And especially given the total, I think we need to move forward.
How do the other commissioners feel? I've heard from Commissioner Yuri. And Commissioner Young. Commissioner Givens and Armache, do you have an opinion?
I think we lost Commissioner Givens.
Who did we lose?
Commissioner Givens, I don't see him on the line.
Do we still have Commissioner Armache?
Yeah, I mean, I think I understand Commissioner Yuri saying she thinks it's a lot, but I think it's necessary. So I support it.
Okay, I agree with Commissioners Young and Armache. I do think it's necessary as well.
And if you
And it's only what, 3% or something of the total.
and if you if I can share my screen, it has pictures of the shield.
I mean, it just seems that we're already getting the speed camera on Bladensburg Road. We have police officers working all throughout the day and the evening, and they're monitoring everything. We're getting a lot of feedback. I mean, honestly, is it 30,000? I'm not saying it's not necessary, but is it $30,000 necessary? And I agree with the chief. I mean, the equipment is good, and I understand his urgency, but that seems very steep for this very small town with a whole, set of officers, fleet of officers, 4 or 5 officers for this town that's very small. I think they should be able to have the capacity to monitor this issue.
Well, I'm just letting you know right now that we will never have an opportunity to purchase this quality equipment ever again after our funds are gone. Most of these people most of the towns, even us, might not even spend all the money that we have. We haven't spent none of it yet. I think it's a good purchase for long-term enforcement in your town. Even when the ARP funds are gone, these items could last for almost 10 years, 2 years plus. I think it's a good investment for the town this size to have this equipment for long-term results. I just think it's a good buy and purchase for the town, especially when it goes towards safety and the issues that we have ongoing with speeding and cut through our town.
Chief,
mean,
how
I-
are the signs powered? Are they
They're
so?
powered by a battery operator, so it's important we charge them up and we rotate the batteries out. The batteries can last between 3 to 4 days before it switch out. So each shield will have a replacement battery. The officer will go through, pull down the data and replace the batteries, and we will collect the data that is recovered from the memory of the shield.
So this is different than the little speed sign that we currently have that's solar powered.
Right, and the reason why we don't want to go solar power with this is because it doesn't take too much energy to actually replace the battery power, and also it's quicker to move it around the town. With a solar panel, it takes a lot of time to actually take the solar panel down and the sign down. This, I can just take it less than 5 to 10 minutes. I can take one down and move it to another location and put it up. So it's easy to take down and put up. We wanted the flexibility to move it around town. Now the trailer is solar panel. The trailer is solar panel. It charges itself back up by the sun.
Okay.
Just remember that while, you know, $1 million does seem like a lot, we have, you know, we've always been talking about fixing up Bladensburg Road, which if we decide to do, you know, and we can find a way to use the funds towards some of that, that's going to be multiple thousands of dollars if we're talking about community centers and all of the other things that we've been discussing to improve Cottage City, to improve its look. That's going to be a lot of money also, playgrounds and everything else. So just consider that when we are just, you know, putting all of this equipment on the ARPA funds. We have a lot to do with it. And at the end of the day, if we're talking about any type of building project or bringing Bladensburg Road together to make it look good, it's going and assisting families as well, that money goes a long way. So
I agree with that, but in reference to urgency of trying to get ahead of the game and purchase these items now is the utmost importance to the town and to the safety of the residents. Yes, I agree with the projects she's talking about, but that's why we're trying to get a contractor to come on board to actually manage this project as well as look for other grants. So yes, I think we need to purchase this now before we get to a point where we can't get them because they're all sold out and there's a waiting list. We do have a problem and concern with speeding right now at this moment. I think it's a good buy because we are trying to bring somebody on board to actually search for other money and to get other grants for other projects we're trying to do. So we try to move forward with this because of the urgency of reference to safety. I understand your concern about the price tag, but it's going to pay for itself later on in reference to you know, getting other grants and stuff for other projects you're trying to do in the town. So we are going to invest money for a contract to come in to actually manage this, as well as for other opportunities for grants to actually offset some of the things that's going to be used right now to pay for this these items right now. So I think it's a good purchase. I think it's something that is needed right now in reference to our concerns and our problems in town.
I would like to make a motion. We're talking about 3% here, or less than 3% of the total. I think it's really important. I think the safety of our residents is paramount. And therefore, I would like to make a motion that we approve the chief's request to spend this money and bypass the bidding requirements to the extent necessary. And thank you for bringing this to our attention, Chief.
Well,
Just for the record, Commissioner Young, disagreeing with purchasing some of the equipment is not compromising the city's safety. So please don't, package it as being me trying to compromise the city's safety.
I didn't say that. I didn't say
Okay,
that. I just
but-
wanted to make a motion so we could go forward.
I understand, but, we have, 5 police officers who are constantly monitoring the town morning and evening, and we've invested a lot of money in our police
Commissioner
department. We're
Yuri,
getting speed cameras.
Commissioner Yuri.
I'm making my point.
I know,
And so I
Commissioner
wanna thank
Yuri,
Chief.
but I'm
wanna
sorry
finish
to
making my
interrupt you,
point.
but you
I wanna
repeated
finish my
yourself
point.
twice.
I want to finish
You've
my
already
point.
made your
Commissioner
point,
Whitney.
Commissioner Yuri.
I want to
We've heard
finish my
you.
point.
You're on the
Commissioner
record.
Whitney,
We
if you
heard
don't
you.
mind.
We've heard you. There is
Thank
a
you.
motion on the floor, Commissioner Yuri. Mr. Best, will you please explain to Commissioner Yuri, there's a motion on the floor. We have to finish out the motion. Mr. Best?
Yeah, the bottom line really is if the chair rules you out of order, you have one choice really. You can ask for an appeal to the body. Otherwise, you must yield. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Best. Again, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? I'll second. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Abstain.
I haven't gotten to abstentions yet, Commissioner Yuri. I need to vote as well. I vote in favor, aye. Those that abstain or oppose, please say.
Abstain.
Commissioner Yuri, you're opposing or abstaining?
I'm
I think she
abstaining.
said abstain.
All right, motion passes. All right, next up is the monthly report. Chief, you want to take that one?
Yes. My monthly report, to be short, is a document on my monthly report that I sent out. Only thing I want to talk to you about today is in reference to code enforcement. We have 2 to 3 applicants coming next week to actually be interviewed. We're trying to actually pick someone up before the beginning of the year to start working on some of the projects that we have in reference to code. We did have some issues with the fire department at the corner. We had a shooting in front of that location last month. We did found out that they were renting out the fire station once again after we told them not to do it. We brought county in, we shut him down to the point where he has to be in compliance before he can actually open back up again. In reference to the complaints we have with parking issues on 41st, in reference to the auto mechanic shop, we've been having a lot of complaints about them parking their customers' vehicles on the public right of way. County supposed to be with me tomorrow to actually go over there to talk to the owner in reference to some of the concerns we have and some of the options they have to adhere to before they get out of compliance with their parking on their property. We also have a new business that came in and took the place of the automotive repair shop at the corner of 43rd. They moved out, but then we had a tire place that moved in. I am working with county to find out if that is appropriate for them to move into that location under the new zoning policies that the county have. I'm trying to research that now, and once I get some information, I'll bring it back to the commission, let you know in reference to that tire place, if it's allowed to be there or not. Other than that, that's all I have right now.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the chief? Hearing no questions, we'll move on. Ward 1, Commissioner Young, do you have anything to report?
Not really to report, but I just wanted to say I do appreciate and I'm sure the residents who had brought to my attention the problem on Parkwood will very much appreciate getting the speed hump put in there. Hump, not bump, the speed hump. They will appreciate that, along with also the patrolling and the signs and so forth. And also, one of the first things I started working on, probably before I was a commissioner, was the issue of people getting across 38 and the speeding there, and the need for flashing signs and so forth. And so for all of us over in Ward 1 who like to go over to the park and so forth, this will make that a lot more accessible to us. And so I thank you all for that too.
Thank you, Ward 2 Commissioner Armache. Anything to report out?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Ward 3, I don't really have anything to report out. I too just want to thank everyone for being patient. I know the meeting has been a little long tonight. We had a few things to discuss, but thank you for hanging in there with us, those who have stuck around. I believe Commissioner Givens of Ward 4, I believe we've lost him. So I'm going to skip to Commissioner Yuri at large. You have anything to report out?
Just that, Chief, I sent you a message earlier in the week about the hole in the fence in Industrial Park. If you don't have any feedback on that, if you could please follow up with the additional property owners. It looks like part of the fence has been fixed, but the other part hasn't. So if we can just keep an eye on that, because it looks like new holes keep popping up. And a quick question for Ms. Barber. I know we spoke, I think in the work session, about contacting the school and maybe getting the bus stop changed. Do we have any progress on that?
No, ma'am, I haven't had any progress on that. Let me follow up again and I'll get back in touch with you by Friday.
Okay, thank you. Chief, did you have any comments?
I'm sorry, I missed it. What'd you say, ma'am?
Commissioner Yuri, you're on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yes, I was just referring to the message I sent early in the week about the hole in the fence in Industrial Park. If you had any follow-up on that.
Yes, ma'am. All the fence lines are under Eastgate. I did speak to Mr. Decker. He's going to have a team go out there and look at the fence and see if anything needs to be repaired, and he'll take care of it.
Okay. Do you happen to know if it's new tears in the fence that people are continually doing to break through and continue the dumping, or are those old holes that just haven't been repaired yet?
I'm not sure, ma'am. But Mr. Decker said he's going to have a team to go over there. I haven't gone over there personally myself. I asked when he had forwarded your complaint over to him, and he said he's going to have a team to go out there and look at it. What I can do is tomorrow I can go out there personally and look at it and see if it's old damage and get back to you.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
All right, so we're at the end of our agenda. I'm going to ask if there are any public comments at this time. I know I asked earlier and I didn't get any takers, so I will ask again if there are any public comments at this time. Hearing no public comments. I'm sorry.
Bill Kopecki. I was wondering if Greg knows about the sidewalks on the 3700 block of Cottage Terrace that have sunk holes in after they were worked on by WSSC contractor. It looks like they were starting to pave the street today, but they still have these two sidewalks that need to apparently be filled in and fixed, which I assume is different than the sidewalk contract. But that's all. Thank you. Bye.
Is Mr.
Yes,
Pinkney
those
still
are
on the call?
dangerous.
Yes,
Is
I'm
Greg?
here. I'm
Oh,
aware
okay.
of it. We're trying to figure out what's going on, when they're gonna get them fixed, because those are sidewalks that we're not fixing. They took them out, they're gonna fix them. But the problem is that they are dangerous because they sunk in. They put asphalt down, and the asphalt is now sunk in. They came out and put some more down, and that sunk in as well. So, but they did come out and was supposed to be repaving the street. But my concern
I
is
hope
not
they knew about the sinkhole that the people there had complained about. That they had complained some time ago about it looking like there was a sinkhole there in the street. It went on up into the sidewalk as well.
Yeah, it looks as if that's what they were fixing.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
I think they were fixing the sewage pipes, and I don't know what causes the sinkholes and if they have solved that problem yet, but they were getting ready to, they were prepping the street to pave it yet, and I just wondered if they're gonna have to come back and do it over again if they finish paving it tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it was the pipe that actually was causing the erosion.
Oh.
Madam Chair,
Well,
have the sinkholes been barricaded or marked off as a hazard?
No. No.
Well, here we are in a public meeting. You all have inquiry notice of the problem. If someone gets hurt in a short period of time, the town will be liable. So you'll want to make sure you mark off and barricade off this hazard.
Yeah, Greg, there's two places on the sidewalk there, and you know where it is, I think. There's two places where you're walking along and it goes down almost a foot, maybe 9 inches down. And if you're not paying attention, somebody could get hurt. So if you could put up some signs or something.
Yeah, we'll go barricade it.
Thank you.
Miss Barbara, I just noticed that there's a closed session on the agenda. Was that up there by mistake?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All righty. Are there any other public comments at this time? Hearing no further comments from our public, we are at the end of our meeting agenda tonight. It's 10:18. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none. We are now
Good night,
adjourned.
everybody.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.